Back to channel. Now we are going to see the hearing physiology. Actually, the main objectives which we know that decibel is a unit of loudness of sound. That is the ratio of intensity of a sound relative to specific reference level. We know this is a unit of sound, and hertz is a unit of frequency of a periodic phenomenon. It's a frequency such as sound waves and defined as a number of cycles per second. So in this concept mainly we are going to see how the sound is transmitted from the middle ear through the external ear, and there is no modification or distortion of sound waves until there is a presence of wax in our middle ear. So it is at the middle ear where the sound is amplified. So let us see the conduction of sound from the tympanic membrane to the cochlea. Actually let us learn by a diagram actually. So first here this is the pinna or external auditory mater, pinna, external auditory maters, and the tympanic membrane. So actually the sound from the pinna is the one which detects which determines the direction of sound, that from which direction the sound is coming, or from upside or downside, like that. So pinna means a directional role. So first the sound waves enter into the external auditory maters, then there is the tympanic membrane. So after reaching the tympanic membrane, here lies the malleus. So first enters the malleus, and next into the incus, and next to the stapes. So this order you can remember as Miss. So after entering into the stapes, from the stape it enters the oval window. From the oval window it enters into the cochlea. Actually the cochlea we can learn it in a simple way like test tube inside test tube structure. Here you can see test tube inside test tube structure. So actually here it is the oval window, and here's the round window, and here lies the stapes. So from stapes it enters the oval window, and in the oval window after entering, here lies the scala vestibuli. This is the scala vestibuli, this is the scala media, and this is the scala tympani. So in the scala vestibuli and scala tympani, there is perilymph, and inside, that is in scala media, there is endolymph. It is the bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. And this first membrane, this is known as Resiner's membrane, and the second membrane here, this is known as basilar membrane. So first the sound impulse enters into the cochlea, that is by oval window into the scala vestibuli, into the perilymph. Next it enters into the Resiner's membrane, this one, and after into Resiner's membrane it enters into the endolymph, that is in the scala media. In the scala media, there is a basilar membrane. So the basilar membrane has a effect of reproducing the sound towards this side. So again the sound moves upwards, and like this it continues, so that liquid this here the perilymph and endolymph vibrates and causing the sound, and this is next collected by the spiral ganglions, and it reaches our brain. So this is how we can hear, and the actual pathway of hearing we are going to see in the second part. So this is first the basic pathway which we need to understand. So this is what impedance matching of vascular system is nothing but what now we have discussed, that how the sound travels based on vascular systems, tympanic membrane. And one more thing, tympanic membrane is present here on the upper, that is in the scala media. Here lies small villi, and these are known as organ of Corti. Upon the organ of Corti there is tympanic membrane. So when the basilar membrane is receiving the impulse, and when it is moving it back, it reaches from the organ of Corti to the tympanic membrane. Hence the tympanic membrane vibrates and the sound is produced. So here you can see attenuation of sound by contraction of tensor tympani and stapedius muscles. So what this muscle does, actually whenever you are hearing any undesirable sound, like very loud sound, then our ears don't want to listen that kind of sound. So what happens, this tensor tympani is present back of our malleus. This is your malleus. So back of our malleus lies the tensor tympani, and back of stapes lies the stapedius muscles. So the stapedius muscle and the tensor tympani, what they do, they contract and they just pull up the tympanic membrane. As they are pulling the tympanic membrane, tympanic membrane you can imagine is like a curtain. So whenever air flows, like voice flows with lot of frequency, then it moves so rapidly so that it is undesirable. So if we contract it and make it tense, like so strong by this muscles, with the help of these muscles, then it becomes so thick tense that whenever more voice comes, it can't move and it can't vibrate, so hence the hearing process is stopped. So whenever there is undesirable sound, this kind of process takes place. This is nothing but known as the attenuation of sound by contraction of tensor tympani and the stapedius muscles. So this is what present in this. Actually, why do you do this? To mask the low frequency sounds in loud environments. And also, if you remember, sometimes when there is loud environment outside, we only focus on the most informative voice communication is transmitted. This is also because of this function. We are able to focus only on one particular desirable sound which we want to listen. And the transmission of sound through bone. Actually, cochlea is present in the bony labyrinth, that is in a bone. So actually there will be many vibrations. It is easy to pass through a liquid than a bone because it is very hard to pass through the bone, so it requires some appropriate condition, like a tuning fork. For example, a tuning fork or electric vibrator placed on a especially mastoid of near the ear causes a person to hear the sound. However, the energy available even in the loud sound in the air is not sufficient to cause hearing via sound conduction unless a specific electromechanical sound amplifying device is applied to the bone. So there should be a specific pathway to enter into the bone. It's not so easy, like even if there is, in normal conditions, even if there is large sound, even that is not sufficient to cause the hearing effect in the bone. So we require a special electromechanical sound to amplify the bone. And next, functional anatomy of cochlea. I think now we can easily understand. Here you can see this is the scala vestibula, the upper part. This is the resinous membrane, and this is the scala media between the scala vestibula and scala tympani, and this is the scala tympani. And here you can see this is the basilar membrane. So only two membranes we need to remember important. That is, first one is the resinous membrane and the basilar membrane. On the basilar membrane there are small cilia like cells known as organ of Corti. Upon organ of Corti there is a tectorial membrane. Sorry, not tympanic membrane, tectorial membrane. And next, this is the spiral prominence. You can see from this media only the spiral ganglion get attached and they reach the impulse to the brain. So this is about this. And here you can see the spiral limbus. And about basilar membrane, about all this. Basilar membrane and its resonance in cochlea we have understood already. Whenever it passes to this scala media from the basilar membrane, it moves again backward and it vibrates the tectorial membrane, hence producing the sound. And one more thing, this the projection from the bony center of the cochlea, the basilar membrane have the basilar fibers which are from the bony center of the cochlea called a modiolus. So this is important to remember. From this modiolar the basilar fibers arrange, and the basilar fibers near the oval window are having very, you can see, less frequency, but they move with a rapid force and form a helicotrema at one end, that is known as helicotrema at one end. So what is it we see? Thus the high frequency resonance of the basilar membrane occurs near the base, whereas the sound waves entering the cochlea through the oval window. So whenever the high frequency resonance takes place, whenever the basilar membrane occurs near the base, near the oval window, but the low frequency resonance occurs near the helicotrema. This is important. Low frequency resonance taking place in the helicotrema, that is on the other side, but at the oval window side these basilar fibers are having the higher frequency resonance. So this mainly because of the less stiff fibers, but also because of increased loading with extra masses of fluid that must vibrate along the cochlear tubules. Of course, because here helicotrema is towards this side, means here more endolymph, and because it's hard to move in more frequency in the endolymph, but near the oval window there is a bony structure and it is a starting part, so it is having the high frequency of resonance. So this is all about part 1, and next other topic, how sound waves travel to the brain, all those things let us in part 2.